Hey, folks, on today's episode of The Hustling Agent, we have Brian Curtis from the Curtis Realty Group. Brian has multiple teams all over the country. He's a top notch coach. He was my coach, actually, taught me a ton. And just a good guy, public speaker, super good at scripts and tech and all that. So he has some great insight that I can't wait for you guys to check out. Here goes. All right, so we're recording. Well, today, folks, I have a great human being, friend, national real estate coach, top producing dude, Brian Curtis. Brian, what's going on, bro?
Not much, Suneet. I love it. Top producing dude. I think I might coin myself as the top producing dude. I like
Yes,
it.
do that. Brian has a big team in Arkansas, Curtis Real Estate Group, and was with Jordan Terrell Group. And is it Denver, Colorado?
Yeah, we're technically in Westminster, but we work basically we work the Denver metro up through in Boulder County. There's 4 or 5 different counties that we work there. Denver's a pretty big market, so we
Yeah.
can't work it all, at least not yet. Maybe someday.
So, what are you seeing in the market in Bentonville and Colorado markets?
It's an interesting thing because I don't know that I signed up for this on purpose, but I kind of have a unique perspective on the fact that I'm living in one state that it's actually illegal for me to go show a house, and then the other state that I do business in doesn't even have a stay-at-home order. So it's really an interesting juxtaposition of those two things. So in Arkansas, we haven't seen a significant drop off of anything, but we hit this really hard and really early I think people are all across the country are getting buyer's remorse. I think you've probably seen it in your market as well. But what we did is we got in front of it. And what I mean by that is I told every agent on my team to call every single person they had under contract in every listing that we had and start with, why did you go under contract? Why were you interested in owning this house on the front end? Because a unique thing that happened is interest rates plummeted, as we all know. And then another weird thing happened is even as the Fed interest rate dropped, and even as the ability for banks to buy paper got cheaper, there was also less demand. So honestly, we started to see interest rates creep back up because like every other economic model, it's supply and demand. I tell you that big whole long story to say this. We had this conversation, guys. If you want to back out of this contract, we're absolutely happy to help you do that. We want you to be comfortable with that. But I want you to understand a couple of factors that are about to happen. First of all, when this thing is over, and it looks like it's going to be over, God willing, sooner than later, we're going to see a huge influx of people because there's a huge segment of people who would normally be out looking at houses in March and April that stayed at home. I'm not, good, bad, or indifferent. That's a fact. And so interest rates will probably climb again. And so what you can buy today, that's let's say $1,500 payment, is going to be a significantly less purchase in 30 to 60 to 90 days, depending on when this whole thing breaks. So if you're under contract and you got a 3% interest rate, are you willing to give that up? And what I told every agent on my team was, I don't want you to sell people on whether they should stay in a contract or not. But what I want you to do is do your job and then tell them the consequences of staying in the contract and tell the consequences of leaving it. Because I think sometimes people just go, well, it's scary, I'm going to run away. Well, yeah, but sometimes there's opportunity in that scarcity and that fear. So how's that?
Dude, that's great. What a good idea. You guys got right in front of it, just like you said. And I'm sure that your clients, they really appreciated that, right?
And let me say this. They were going to have the conversation anyway. I guarantee you they were having it. The only thing I told our agents to do was participate in the conversation. We're so scared, like if I call somebody up and say, hey, are you concerned about this contract, that they're going to go, yes, I want to terminate. But that's not what happens. They're grown adults. They're not children. So, give them the opportunity to discuss it. And if you're having a conversation with somebody, you can provide them information they may or may not have. And at least you got to participate. I'm not saying it saved every deal because I think in March we had 6 or 7 terminations. And in April, it obviously isn't over yet, but I think we've had 4 or 5, which is probably, a 10 to 15% increase over what we would normally have. But hey, that beats the heck out of a 50% loss. I mean, I've had people I've talked to that lost 4 and 5 deals in a week. So, stay in front of it and stay communicative. And that's not different. So, in Colorado, we're trying to be a little creative. We can't show houses. So, we're doing a lot of the virtual tours. We actually listed a house the other day, sold it, and the client still hasn't seen it. And we haven't been in the house either. So, it's unique times. Obviously, that's probably not a good long-term model. But hey, short term, man, it's adapt and overcome and find the things that you can do. And here's the other thing, and I found the people who've continued to work through this, I don't believe we're in a crisis like 2008, but there are some comparable things that happened. So in 2008, we had this many realtors in my market, and then like 6 months later, we had this many realtors in my market. Yeah. So we've seen that happen in both markets. And I'm not saying they've actually quit, but they've kind of quit. And I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. They didn't turn their license in. They didn't do anything like that. They just started watching Wheel of Fortune as their income.
Yeah, and obviously, you see, like, they don't log into anything, right? And they just put their head in the sand and wait.
Right. And so, those people, you said I can say however I want, those people are screwed. And here's why they're screwed. Because we know that real estate runs in 60 to 90-day cycles. Yep. So if you've done nothing for the last 60 days, that means, let's say in 30 days, this thing is over or more regular. I'm not going to remotely, that's above my pay grade. But eventually we're going to go back to selling real estate how you and I know, with some small tweaks. But if you're going to wait 30 to 60 days to start over, that means you're still 60 to 90 days from getting paid again. So you are so far behind. You had a crappy March and April because of COVID-19, and then your response was to do nothing so that you can have a bad June, July, and August. And that's what scares me for people in our industry, and that's why I believe we're going to see a pretty huge exodus of people. But there's opportunity in that as well, because I'm sure some of the people watching this are team leaders. There's that opportunity. That guy who's been sitting on his hands for 2 months, who did 20 deals last year, realizing he's going to do 5 deals this year, he might be a great guy to join your team, because really what he needed was support. And, because I don't know about you, but I literally have an open team meeting every single day. Now, people don't show up. Sometimes they do. Sometimes, like this morning, there was one dude. But hey, you know what? I told my team I'm going to be on Zoom at 9:15 every single day until nobody shows up. And that's what we've had to do as leaders. And I'm sure you're doing similar stuff, showing up for your people. But, have you talked to people? How many people have said, oh, my broker hasn't done anything for me?
Oh, yeah.
I've heard that over and over and over again. So
and I think that's something that we were told early on, too, was, people like Adam Contos, who have been on Facebook every day. And even people like our governor in California, Gavin Newsom, who 6 days a week is live on the media.
Yeah, let's be leaders, because here's the beauty of this for people like you and I, people who are willing to step up and do the hard stuff. People are willing to have those hard conversations. People are just dying to get it. I talk to agents, and, we've done a couple of webinars about the CARES Act. And I did one in Arkansas, I did one in Colorado, and people bent over backwards to thank me for that. And I don't tell you that to brag. I tell you that to say that their broker isn't doing anything. I literally had conversations with a guy in Chicago the other day, and they were talking about, there's a certain branch. I don't want to talk bad about any particular brands here. That's not the point of this, but brand X, we'll just call it. They had literally not, their leader of their group had literally not reached out to any more than just a couple of agents. And this brokerage has hundreds and hundreds of agents. So, there's 190 agents that need to get poked up from that people need, and a huge opportunity to just show somebody that culture just isn't about having a meeting once a week. It's not about, I can train you, I can coach you. Every brokerage says that. What do you do for me when things aren't perfect, when everything doesn't fit into this real estate box that we've grown up in the last 10, 15 years? So.
Yeah, no, all valid, man. And yeah, we obviously, you were my coach once, so I've learned some of my thought processes from you. We're friends, so yeah, we have similar thought processes. But yeah, I've lost 3 agents total. One went to another team, which doesn't make any sense, but I'm okay, right? And then 2 went inactive.
Yeah, that's and when you say you lost 3 out of how many?
3 out of like 95.
Yeah, that's not even statistically significant to be
Yeah,
honest with
no,
you. If you
yeah.
think about that, you might have lost 3 people in the best year of real estate. I mean,
Oh, yeah, and
so
we do, right? I mean, and it's just really, been important just to, yeah, talk to these agents. Like the first 2 days, I got out my roster and I called everybody. People were so surprised, Brian. They're all, is everything okay?
have you watched the news?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So let's talk about like activities for agents. So you have a great team. They crush it year over year. What are you telling them to be doing right now?
We've been telling them a couple of different things. First of all, and you and I share a coach as well. So, I mean, this is not new. Get on the phone and double down on that. And I'm sure he told you the same thing he told me. And, shout out to John, good dude.
Yeah.
But, that was the initial response. The initial response was double down. And I love that because so many people said, let's contract. And we said, let's expand. So what are we doing? So first of all, though, is where can we bring value? And I think that that's something that's been lost in our industry since the advent of the internet lead, for the lack of a better term. And, we go back to, say, 2010 when Zillow sold their first lead. I bought my first lead from Zillow in 2011. And one of the problems that's come with that is we go wide instead of deep. And what I mean by that is, man, I bought 100 leads this month. Well, there's no way in hell I can deal with 100 leads. So I basically call them all, whichever ones say, yeah, I want to go buy something right now, I go work with them. And then the other 95, I go, those suck. And we've been doing that year after year after year in our industry. And we go, why is there so many leads bought to the number of closings? Well, the reason is because we don't work those. We don't do a good job with them. And then we go, the leads suck, the leads suck. So 2 things. First of all, let's learn to nurture somebody. And right now, I think is the easiest time that it's literally been in my real estate career. 2 things. People are home. Who knew, right? If I work at Corporation X, I'm not going to be on the phone in the middle of the day talking about a house. But right now, they're sitting at home drinking Jack and Coke, and why not? I mean, let's be true. There was an article, I was watching it on the news the other day, like drinking at home during work time is significantly up. I mean, it's a real thing. We're all, it is what it is. I can tell you right now, it's 2:47 in an hour and 13 minutes. We have our team happy hour this afternoon. I mean, it's a real thing, and it's okay. I don't even know if there's anything wrong with it. Don't drink and drive, but you're not supposed to go out anyway. Yeah. So yeah, my point is, though, is that we have an opportunity to have conversations with people, and we have be able to have conversations with them. We all know the script. Hey, you bought a house on you saw this house on realtor.com. Would you like to go see the house, or can I answer any questions for you? I can teach my 19-year-old, good kid, probably never going to be a salesman, but I can teach him to say that. What we need to teach people to do, though, is say, how are you doing? What's going on? How can I benefit you today? What value can I bring? So, we're asking people simple questions. Are you still employed? Do you have a job? Are you okay? Have you applied for any of the programs? And I saw that we're about this close to getting another 350 billion on those programs. Knock on wood, that'll happen. But so that's that conversation. Do you know about that? We're happy to provide some of those resources. And then two final questions. Do you have a mortgage? And if the answer is yes, we have a mortgage. And hopefully you're not going to ask the person you sold a house to, do they have a mortgage? But for someone who didn't sell a house to, do you have a mortgage? Yeah. So out of curiosity, is there an interest rate that you would be interested in knowing about, because you might want to refi? Because realistically, on a $200,000 house, if you drop that a point, then you're looking at saving about $180 a month. If you drop, a $400,000 house, that's $350 a month. I mean, these are significant numbers. If I can save you $300 to $400 a month, should I call you? And that's providing real value, because the majority of the people who I talk to don't own a mortgage company. It's not like I'm saying, hey, use my mortgage company, although I do own a mortgage company, but that's not why we came up with that. But my point is bring value, though. Even if I didn't own a mortgage company, I would be literally using the exact same script of, hey, is there a number that you want to know about? And then the other thing is, God forbid you lose your job and it's not coming back anytime soon. Are you familiar with some of the forbearance stuff that's available out there? And then we're actually offering, and no one's taken us up on it yet, we're actually offering, saying, look, if you don't know what to say to your mortgage lender, get us on the phone. We'll do a 3-way phone call and I'll talk to them for you. Because,
Wow.
that first person is really, I don't know if you did short sales back in the day or not, but the person who answers the phone, their job is not to help you. Their job is to read off the script. They're making $12 an hour. They're doing their job. Very respectable, but they don't have the ability to understand your situation. That's not who it is. They answer the phone. It's like the person who walks in the front door and at your real estate company, they can't do a CMA for you. That's not their job. Their job is to be the receptionist. And that's the job of that first person who answers the phone. So you got to get past that person. You got to know the questions to ask. And we're volunteering to do that. I don't know if we'll save anybody's houses, but I guarantee you if we do, we're going to be the person they call in 4 or 5 months and they decide they want to sell it. So what is your value? What are you offering? And how can I help? And then the last thing that we're saying to potential leads is we feel like the script's a little bit old now, which is weird. Scripts don't usually get old, but our script was 45 to 60 days. And now it's really looking like 15 to 30 days from now when things open back up. Would you like to be on our list of people who we work with? Because here's the reality. I would say, Suneet, here's the reality. I can work with about 7 to 10 buyers at a time. Any more than that, I cannot provide the level of service that you deserve. And since I can't do that, I don't want to work with more than that. With that in mind, should you be one of the people that I call? And here's the thing. If they say yes, you've got them. Because basically you created FOMO and you created scarcity. And those people do not want to miss out on their opportunity. And I really do believe that that's going to happen. I believe that we're going to see a huge influx when things open back up. So, wow, I ran off at the mouth there. So
that was good, though. So I was on another call last week with Pat Hyben, right? And Pat.
That's a good guy.
Yeah. And he said, hopefully that everyone rushes to sell at the same time. And that the buyers all have been on unemployment and haven't gotten a check, and now their credit sucks. Because then we have another problem, right?
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting thing to overcome. I mean, what are we going to do? I don't know that we have the answer yet, but when I pull my credit and I look at March and April, I missed a house payment or I missed a car payment or whatever. Is this blip in time going to look at, we're going to look at this 2-3 month period and say, well, that doesn't count. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that question. If I'm a bank, I'm probably depends on my level of aggressiveness. Part of me says, no, if you couldn't make your payment, then what happens next time something happens and you're not going to make your payment? And, and again, as someone who's been through rough times, there's no judgment from me. But as a lender, I want to look at that and say, is this person going to be credit worthy? And because, this wasn't supposed to happen, right? But God only knows when the next thing's happening. They didn't send me a memo. I don't know about you, but I just woke up one day.
No memos. Yes. So, you coach some team leaders and have your own teams. And brokerage owners, what's your advice to people like that? Basically, what's your advice to me?
My advice to you. I would say double down. And what I mean by that is take this opportunity to do 2 things. When I say double down, it's get rid of the people who haven't been doing what they're supposed to do and bring in new people. And you're always going to keep the middle and your best performers, the people who are doing well. But I think right now is an opportunity to decide what you want your business to look like over the next couple of years. I'm not slow, like we're doing fine, but we're definitely slower than we should be right now. And so there's opportunities to look at that and say, where's the fat? And what I'm saying is I'm not suggesting that if you spend $10,000 a month that you cut that down to $7,000. What I'm saying is you find that $3,000 that you don't really need and put it someplace else. Totally. Take a look at where are the things really giving you return on investment and where are you just going, well, I'm supposed to do that. I've been with company XYZ for 5 years and I buy leads from them, and when I sit down and look at it, my ROI is 0.7, so it really sucks, but I just keep buying them. And we all do that. Normally when we have some sort of down, when it's like, oh crap, it's the end of the year and it's December and I'm doing my taxes, maybe I'll do it then, or doing a P&L or whatever it may be. But the reality is we don't look at that stuff often enough. And how much money are we pissing away on a daily, weekly, monthly basis? I can tell you at the end of 2018, I think, we had some struggles. It was a weird blip there. And I was like, I need to get slimmer. And I think right now is an opportunity. to get slimmer, but I'm not saying go cheap. I'm saying optimize. I think that's the word to use, is optimize. Find the stuff that's really working well, double down on that, and then find more people to bring value to. If you're somebody who people seem to like to work with, who people like to be around, more of you is good. And, I think you and I both know Chris Lindahl, and, I was talking with somebody about Chris, and basically what he's done is taken the opportunity to be more in front of people. Because one of the things that happens with people like you and I is we get busy. We do webinars for each other. We do different things. And I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing a thing for Realtor, whatever. We do a lot of that. And sometimes we get away from what our bread and butter is. The reason that somebody wants to talk to me is not because I'm some brilliant guy. It's because I'm running a successful team.
Yeah.
And so, but if I get away from that, then am I really giving the people what they want? So, this is an opportunity to get more in front of our people and show them that you care, because when they figure out that they care, by the way, they have friends who are realtors. How much easier is it to recruit when someone says, what'd your broker do for you? Well, my broker showed me how to get the money from the PPP and get unemployment and get EIDL and, did this. And we had this really cool contest. We ran a contest. I don't know if anyone else did that, but we ran a contest for the person who could make the most dials. We gave them $1,000. I mean, it wasn't anything hard. It was just who could make the most dials. What do we do when the chips are down? Are we giving up on our people? Or are we showing up every single day more than we were when things were normal?
Yeah. So I quit doing huddles a couple of months ago and just did the accountability groups.
Me too.
And then the next round of the accountability was about to start. And then this shit was coming down the pipe, and I was like, let's just wait a minute. Let me just see what happens next week. And then we got locked down. So I got a daily huddle once again, man.
Me too.
One for staff and one for the agents. I mean, it's not first thing in the morning anymore, right? Mine's now at 10:30.
Yeah. Mine's at 9:15, and I don't know why I picked that time, to be honest. I don't even know if it's a good time. It's just where it ended up. Yeah. But but it's not the same either. So here's one of the things that I've learned, and everybody knows it, but how does it really apply is nobody cares what you know until they know what you care. I know how much you care. They don't, you and I've been around this business for a long time, and we can spout all these scripts and this and that. We've been doing it, just pure exposure. Osmosis has gotten us, more information than most people have had exposure to, but nobody cares about that right now. What they care about is, how are you going to help me get to my next deal? Because I'm not sure it's coming. Yeah. And just being the person who can care, who can literally be there on the phone with, I've had people on the phone crying with me. I felt like my job was keeping people from jumping out of windows. No one got quite that far, but there was that same type of feeling that happened. So, that's where the support's at, is being there for your people. And I think that that's one of the biggest lessons to be learned from this is we're very technical right nowadays, right? We've got an AI, and we've got this autoresponder, and we've got this system and that system. And you and I are some of the worst, having too many systems out there.
Absolutely.
Tech and all that kind of stuff. And I love tech, and maybe that's one of my downfalls, but I've learned here that tech doesn't, it matters, but tech isn't what's going to save you in situations like this. It comes back to the principles, which honestly makes me feel good. I don't know about you, but a couple of years ago, people started talking about, well, we're just going to have lock boxes on the front door, and they won't even need an agent to open the door, and this and that. We can start to show our value two ways. Show our values to the client that we're more than a freaking door opener, and show your value to your agents that you're more than just a guy who's trying to collect a paycheck off of them.
Yeah. Good advice, man. We'll just see, what happens. It's so much unknown. I can't believe that Arkansas still doesn't have never mind. I can believe that Arkansas, no offense to anybody out there, but wow. So it's just normal business as usual in the whole state?
No, like the bars and the restaurants are closed. It's just, you're not required to legally stay home. I don't know as far as like pragmatic, because obviously I'm not physically there, and I'm not allowed to go physically. I guess I could get in my car, but I'm not going to do that. So it's just a different mentality, and I think that you see it. But here's the thing too: when you look at the areas that have been hardest hit, you're looking at high concentration populations. I mean, New York City, obviously,
yeah.
is one of them. Some places in California, up in Seattle. And I think that because of the fact that you have where my business is relatively high density compared to the rest of the state, but the rest of the state is very spread out. It's very rural farming. And, to some extent, they're not seeing as many people anyway. So I think that they got away with it from that perspective. It's just less dense. So you're going to have less contact with people just naturally. But I can tell you that was about 3.5 weeks ago. I've been stay at home. I told my office, go home. I don't want you coming in, and we'll just work from home, because ultimately it wasn't worth the risk, because I actually had an agent on my team get it. So
You did?
Mm-hmm. Yes, God willing. I spoke to her a couple days ago. She's doing fine. She got it. She was diagnosed with it about a week and a half ago. So it is real. I mean, it's not it's not a hoax, in case anyone was wondering.
Yeah,
not that you are, because I don't know what to say to you if you are. But there's real people out there, and one of the real agents on my team got it, and it's just interesting to see. Thank God, like I say, she seems to be doing fine. She was sick, and that's true, but she wasn't. I think that's the scariest thing about coronavirus. Person A can get it, and it's just, it's a cough, and I threw up, and I, and I was in bed for 3 days. Who cares? We've all had that. But, every time, I don't know about you, every time I cough, I'm like, do I have COVID-19?
I know.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I had a chest
Anxiety
cold.
is crazy, man. And I get seasonal allergies horribly every day. And I have asthma, right? Seasonally too. Oh my God, the anxiety is crazy. The whole mental bullshit that's happening is just crazy. So one of my staff members' sons got it about 5 weeks ago. So we've been closed for 5 weeks, because then this son's parent who works for me came to the office, right? So there was the tertiary exposure, and then a former agent of mine, she went inactive or something, and her father in his mid-70s got it, spent 3 weeks on the ventilator at UC Davis, and is home now.
Well, that's awesome. He's home. That's a great. It's a crappy story, but it's a great story.
Yeah.
So.
And they had experienced all those early frustrations about not being able to get tested and all those kind of things. So, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's the biggest frustration that we have, is the inability to test. So.
So last question, fun question. Where's the first place that you're going when this is done?
This is funny. My wife and I had this discussion last night, and it's for me. I'm an avid golfer. I'm not a great golfer, but I'm an avid golfer. Those are two very different things. And I want to be able to go and play real golf again. The last time I played, there was no pins, so because they didn't want people taking the pin in and out, touching the pin, and I would be fine doing that. But I want to go play golf. I want to go sit and eat at a nice restaurant. So
Yeah.
both my wife and I have had COVID-19 birthdays. So. And it was funny. I was going to take her for her birthday to a gun range. So I like to throw lead. It's fun, that's a good, safe way. And so that's on the list too, is that I promised my wife that after COVID-19 was over, that we would go throw some lead and just, break some stuff. And that sounds fun to me. And I think it would be some really good stress relief to go and shoot something. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, cool, man. I'm super grateful for your time. I mean, I know you're busy. We're out there on the webinar circuit, right?
Hey, man, I tell you what I love about COVID-19. There's always a bright side. I get to be in this sweatshirt. I did shave this morning, but
Thank you.
It's funny. Sometimes I'm like, did I shower today? I can't remember. So, it's fun. I mean, we get to be a little bit more laid back, and that part is kind of cool. And you can show up for something in a sweatshirt, and that's just kind of expected what it is right now. So, there's always some silver lining and stuff. So that's
absolutely. Thanks, brother.
Appreciate you.
What'd you think of Brian? He always has some great ideas. I hope you got something out of this. If you did, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on LinkedIn, check out my website, share with a friend, and we'll see you next time on The Hustling Agent.